And
Uh,
let me
at,
just say that I am not the Draymond Green of this group.
yeah, you are.
No,
Uh,
I'm not.
yeah.
First of all, I'm not as black as he is.
All right, but even
Dang.
with all of that, Blake, you're just with all that out. No, attitude wise, everything. You're the Draymond of this group. I don't want us to start comparing ourselves to the Warriors, though. We're better than that, right?
We are better than that. Now,
Yeah,
I will say the attitude, you're probably right. But
yeah.
don't
You the
you ever
Draymond. You
compare me to
Draymond.
something as dark as that ever again, sir. That is
Come
that.
on, brother. We gotta stop talking like that.
Yeah,
What?
man. I'm proud of how
Why?
dark Draymond is.
So he's not. So we're going to ignore that? Is that what we're going to do?
Well, I mean, he is
Yep,
dark
yep,
skinned,
we
but
are.
I mean that's not a bad thing.
Um,
That's not the bad feature of Draymond.
that's not the bad feature.
It's
But
the kicking of the groins and just being Draymond that makes Draymond.
when you a punk like that, that don't make it no better.
Did you see how that spit that came out your mouth when you said punk?
It all gathered right in there in the TD Jake
I
zone.
like that brother, man. I don't like him. Y'all know this.
Yeah.
I
So
don't like you, Draymond. I don't like you. Just get some lightener.
that's no. That's the opposite of everything we stand for, man. We don't talk like Uncle Ruckus around here. Man.
I'm just saying, man. I don't like the brother. I just don't like him.
Yeah. All right. It's time for us to get the show started, man. Y'all ready?
Let's do
Oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, man, why don't you get off your phone, Doc? How about that? Why don't you do that?
I'm
Why don't you
pulling
make
up my notes, sir. I'm
Well,
pulling
people
up my
can
notes.
see you, bro. Come on, man.
Show prep.
Thank you.
That's a required thing here on the Barbershop 918.
Notes. Whatever.
And welcome into the Barbershop 918. You up in here with your man, Big Drew,
Big Drew.
J Rock,
Boom.
Ow.
and the one and only Raw Dog.
Arr, arr.
We got a jam-packed show for you today.
Pack like jelly, baby.
Okay, you messed that up, but we're gonna keep it moving. Today in the
I'm sorry.
Oh God.
today we're gonna give you a little bit of NBA talk. We got, of course, NFL talk that we're all happy about because all three of our teams won. The Bears pulled off a victory, the Chiefs had a thrilling win, and the Dallas Cowboys, which I know you heard, America, also pulled off a win. And
The Browns won as well. The Browns won as well.
Nobody care about that.
My adopted team, the Browns won.
we'll
Well,
also
that's your adopted team.
okay. We'll talk.
Oh.
Oh, that's not cool. So we'll talk about the Heisman Trophy and all kind of things that took place during that ceremony. And we've got a hood debate coming your way. We're gonna talk a little bit about what went down last week with Kevin Hart. We got a lot coming your way today. It really is actually a jam-packed show. Of course, we got the world-class word on the street. No, we'll wait.
Oh.
And right now, it's time for us to get into the Ratchet Report. J Rock,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
What song, man?
Knuckles,
What song?
Ashy
Go ahead.
Knuckles.
Ashley,
No, we
no lotion, huh?
these are working
Never
hands.
moisturized.
Punching bricks.
All right, this ratchet report is coming out of Houston, Texas.
Houston, with
There
an H.
were what's up?
Nothing, I'm listening.
Apparently, 20 men found themselves in a bit of legal trouble after filming a rap video in Houston, Texas. According to reports, the men were charged with illegal possession of firearms for brandishing their weapons during a recent video shoot. The rappers, all right, here's the names: Maxo Cream and NFL Cartel Bo were filming a video at Lakewood Park when police were alerted. The weapons were being used as props for the video, but authorities noted that the men brandishing the weapons were known gang members. The official music video for this trap was called Hoover, which was eventually uploaded to YouTube and World Star Hip Hop, which uses to identify the gang members in the videos holding a gun. Currently, 11 of the 20 men charged with illegal weapon possessions are in police custody, with arrest warrants being issued for the remaining 20. Keeping it real gone wrong again. If you didn't learn from Bobby Smurder and his Smurderettes in 6ix9ine, keeping it real will get you locked up. Clank, clank.
You're right, sir. I agree 100%.
Yeah, that, you would think that doesn't exist nowadays, but I mean, enough people have gone to jail. Fingers.
Man, what are you doing, bro?
But yeah, that's one of those ratchet reports that just shouldn't exist. And my thing is, there's a whole lot of artists who deserve to go to jail because of the music they're making. And I don't know if these guys were talented or not, but the police need to show up with a handful of other artists, which we'll talk about in the word on the street when we get to the music section.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So, matter of fact, you guys ready? I already took my glasses off. I'm ready.
Word on the street. It's the sweet one. Woo!
That boy good.
I had to bow on that one.
You
I
know,
took it to the east.
you got Marvin Gaye. You got it's so many people like Genuine, Tyrese, so many great
Babyface.
just vocal gods. And then there's Raw Dog.
I'm a diamond in the rough, sir.
You
As
rough.
I've said before, I'm a conduit. I do what God tells me to do.
You do. And we thank you for that. All right, it's time for the word on the street. The word on the street is where we talk about music news. We get into a little bit of just anything that's entertainment news, our favorite things to talk about in the entertainment world. We like to kick it off with music. J-Rock, give them what you got, man.
All right, the Billboard charts. I'm gonna keep it real simple. The Incarcerated 6ix9ine, his album currently is number 3 in the country. Dummy Boy, Little Baby is number 2 with Street Gossip, and the number 1 album in America
Dummy Boy
is Meek Mills with Championships. Philadelphia Eagles won the championship, so he kept that theme. It's a very great album, probably one of the best hip hop albums that have been released this year. It sold over 200,000 copies in its first week on the charts.
Very impressive.
Is Dummy Boy a real rapper, Doc, or you just call somebody a Dummy Boy?
No, that's the name of the album from Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Dummy Boy?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
It's an
What's
accurate
wrong
album.
with
I
hip
mean,
hop
it's a
now,
good name.
bro?
Well, that's life. What else you got,
Yeah,
boss?
that's what it is, man. If you didn't know already, Jacquees, I said his name right, Jacquees,
I don't
Nobody
even know,
cares.
bro.
who is currently signed to Cash Money Records. He had clickbait available this past Monday when he said that he was the king of R&B. Now, if you don't know, Jacquees is a 19-year-old R&B guy who signed to Cash Money Records. He released his debut album 4275 this past year, and he's put out multiple mixtapes. In fact, he's good at flipping other people's tracks, and he'll put it on his SoundCloud to get some props and everything. But a lot of people are laughing at the fact that he's called himself the king of R&B, including Jay Holiday from such classic songs as Bed and forgot the other song he did.
The
What'd
Bed
you say?
remix.
The Bed remix.
So before we get deep into who currently is the king of R&B, let me ask you guys something. Who are some of the prior kings of R&B that you can name? Now we all know Bobby Brown, so let's not say the obvious, right? But who are some of the past kings of R&B that you could say was just undisputed kings in their era?
Oh, wow.
Robert Sylvester Kelly. As much as we dislike his
I struggle
nasty
with
self,
that answer, man. I struggle with that answer.
Because he's pissed me off a lot.
Have you guys heard his new song called Passport? He's asking the ladies, would you like to come to America? Did you get your shots yet?
So you could be a sex slave.
It's just nasty now. It's like beyond creepy. It's just nasty when it comes to that former king of R&B.
You know
okay,
what?
But was
Wait.
R. Kelly ever really on top? What era was he just it and nobody else could touch R. Kelly? Nobody else in the game. He was the king.
He came out with Step in the Name of Love. When he started doing stepping music, that was one thing that came out right after the whole tape, right? And believe it or not, that helped him out a lot. That Step in the Name of Love.
Was he the
and
king
Happy
of R&B during that time, or was because that was what 2005ish, 2004,
2003, 2004, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Charlie Wilson was probably more on top.
But I'd say R. Kelly's reign started in the early
90s.
90s, mid 90s.
And you think
With
he's the king of the 90s?
yeah, with Foreplay. What was after Foreplay?
The R. Kelly album, the
Yeah.
R album.
In the 90s, and then of course I Believe I Can Fly. So he had the streets
Yeah.
and he had the commercial success too. So the 90s belonged to R. Kelly. They really did.
And I felt like after 99, that's when Usher kind of like stepped in with 8701 and then Confessions, and he had a nice little run.
Hands down, we got R. Kelly as the 90s guy. I mean, like 90s king of R&B. Nobody.
The second candidate is Brian McKnight.
No.
Do you know how many hits Brian McKnight had in the 90s? Are you kidding me?
But he was
ruled
not
the radio in the 90s. He had
not commercial. Like he wasn't big like R. Kelly. Like you just said, R. Kelly. What? I Believe I Can. Come on.
Brian McKnight wasn't big.
I think Brian McKnight had his time in that era.
Come on, man. You got to be.
He had some commercial hits too.
He had some big commercial. Back at One. I mean, they played that to death on the radio, man.
But were they bigger than anything that R. Kelly ever put out?
No, you're not listening to me. I didn't say he was the king. I said he was a candidate to be a king.
Oh, okay, candidate.
Okay, you said candidate. I thought you said he was a king. I'm like, come on.
No.
So what about Joe? Is he a candidate? Was he just a side note of the 90s?
Joe might have been a side note. Joe had some hits, but he wasn't commercial at all. He was straight black radio.
Yeah, I think I Believe I Can Fly put R. Kelly in a position to where you can't really dispute like that. I mean, that was crossover right there.
That's what got him over there. I Believe I Can Fly.
What about
knows?
What about the 2000s? Who would you say was the king of R&B in the 2000s?
Hey, you can't.
Usher.
Yeah, Usher. I mean, hands down, the first part of the 2000s belonged to Usher.
And the second part. I mean, yeah.
Well, now then you have to not ignore Chris Brown.
Chris Brown, yeah. Chris Brown had that nice run before he touched Rihanna from 05 to 08.
Yeah. Before he James Evans'd her.
Yeah.
You know, Chris had a nice run. It was right after Usher's. You know what I mean?
Hey man, James never laid fingers on Florida though. Like,
that's true.
It was just little kid. It was just light-skinned little kids.
He just beat little kid. Right, sir. I'm talking about he Ike Turnered her. That's different. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wrong brother. But yeah.
So that leads us to now. So who's it now then? Usher's out the game.
I gotta say, if I had to pick 5 of them, I would say one of them would have to be The Weeknd. Or Tank. Forget all that, man. Bruno Mars is the king of R&B right now.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, most people would say he's pop.
He's not pop, dude.
He's pop.
He took pop. No. He took 80s R&B, New Jack music from R&B, and just redid it. It is pop, but then why is it being played on all the black radio stations?
It's also being played on every other station too, man. Like, it's pop.
Exactly.
That's what makes it pop.
But that music is primarily black music. Now, what he did before he did Uptown Funk, that was strictly pop.
Yeah, he's a pop artist. Yeah.
Yeah, but this music he's doing is R&B dipped.
So let me ask you.
It's got some pop flavors to it, but it's dipped in R&B.
In all these years that we talked about, there's certain artists that it never crossed our mind, like Justin Timberlake. He had sales. Could he have ever been considered the king of R&B?
Timberlake is a culture vulture.
Pop art. He's a culture vulture.
He should have dated one sister. Just date one sister, man. Just one. We would have gave you a little bit, but no. Justin, after what he did to Janet, he lost credibility with black folks, man. He left Janet out there.
Literally.
Literally.
It was February.
Everything.
It was nippy outside. Yeah. So you guys, so Trey Songz isn't in the mix.
That's true.
Yeah, I moved past my stuff. So Trey Songz isn't in the mix at all when it comes to the R&B thing for you guys?
Well, to be honest with what Jacquees said, R&B is kind of a struggling genre right now because not many R&B singers want to sing. Like Tyrese said that 3-4 years ago when he put out his Black Rose album. He said all of these R&B guys want to be rappers, and
Like
the
him.
current, huh?
Like him, yeah.
Yeah, like him, like when he did the Black Tie and everything.
Yeah.
But every R&B artist that's out right now, they have like it's like a rap feel to it, or they have like Trey Songz. He put out 2 mixtapes on his birthday. One of them is a rap with all these rappers featured on it, and then he has one where he's singing on it. So like right now, I mean, to me, it's like it's the equivalent of him. Jacquees saying he's king of R&B is just like the equivalent of somebody saying I'm the king of New York. I mean, New York is not the same as it was in the 90s as far as with rap and everything. So he can say he's the king of R&B because everybody else is changed. It's not like how it was in the 90s with R. Kelly, Usher, Genuine, Joe, Case, all those artists that were doing music. So him saying he's the king of R&B, go ahead.
What other R&B singers are out there?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, many.
Everybody that's an R&B singer out there, they do rap music. Tory Lanez, he's on rap songs. Jeremiah, Ty Dolla $ign, all of those are R&B artists who also rap. So it's like almost like you can't even say somebody's the king of R&B.
All right. Well, it's time for us to get into the box office report. That's our favorite thing to do when it comes to everything that's new around the movie world.
Well, let me tell you something. My throat got a little. Hold on. Let me get some water, man. Get some of that Sam's. Woo! Okay.
Are they paying us?
No, sir, they're not. But we ain't slinging sausage. The golden. What is it called?
Blue and gold.
Blue and gold.
I'll talk about that later.
All right. So there's only 3 movies really that's worth. Do we want to wait? Those are the box office chumps first. Last week, let me just say, The Hate You Give is still on the charts.
It's at the Dollar Theater here.
Yeah.
It's at the discount movie theater here.
Yeah. It's at number 24. But it was at number 30 last week, so it's actually going back up.
You know what I'm finding? A lot of schools are taking their kids to go see it. Like a lot of the high schools or clubs are taking their kids to see it after they read the book. So it's become like a high school book club, and people are going to see it. So I think it's finding its niche in that little area.
And so also another one that's going up, Green Book, which was number.
Good. I want to see that. I feel bad about not seeing that.
And I've heard it's a great movie. It was 10 last week. Now it's 7. So it actually went up. It made like 3.9 last week.
Got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah. I love as an actor, you can't get no better than Mr. Ali, man. I can't say his first name. Can you say his first name? Is it Maharashi? I can't say it.
It'd be offensive.
Mozzarella. Ali.
I said it would be offensive, and then we go on to offensive.
Very offensive. Thank you, Jay. Number 5 is Bohemian Rhapsody, which I actually want to go see because I'm a big Queen fan.
You say that every week.
Huh?
You say that every week, yet you've not gone to see it yet.
And I haven't seen it, man. I'm sorry, but money's tight around here. 6.1 million. And number 4 is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Sounds like nothing I want to see. Made 6.9. Number 3, Creed 2.
Yes.
Made 9.9 mil. At number 2 is Dr. Seuss. Do what?
Never mind. Go ahead.
At number 2 is Dr. Seuss. The Grinch made 15 mil. And at number 1, same movie that was number 1 last week, Ralph Breaks the Internet at 16 mil. So when it comes down to movies, man, them animated movies kill.
They do.
If it's a good animated movie, you're gonna make money right off the top. Now, as far as what's playing out there this Friday, check it out. There's 3 movies that could be more different that I think you should go check out, depending on what your tastes are. If you're into Harry Potter and all that old crazy stuff, there's a movie called Mortal Engines that's coming out. Basically, it's a futuristic movie where all the countries are traveling, like London travels. They have an engine. It's like a big giant car. It's weird. But it's rated PG-13. It's going to be an IMAX in 3D, so it's a big, huge movie. Or if you want to watch just a straight up drama, and you like Clint Eastwood, you want to check out The Mule.
Yeah, I do want to see that. That looks good.
It looks very interesting. Basically, he's an 80-year-old guy who's losing his business, and he, unbeknownst to him, he's offered a job to be a mule. He doesn't even know it until it's too late. He ends up paying all his debts, but now he's got the Mexican cartel and the cops after him, and he's 80, y'all. He's 80.
Good Lord.
There's a similar story that I know about in real life about this guy who became a mule for a podcast. He just signed up to be on the podcast, and he thought it was blue magic. You know, it was just like, it just came out of the blue and it was magical. Then before you know it, he's smuggling blue and gold throughout the country. It sounds similar to that story. But...
That sounds strange to me. Somebody I know, man. I wonder who that could be. Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Is, of course, another animated movie. And I've heard, what did I just say? Animated. I said animated. Animated. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I want to see that, man.
I've heard good things about this. Number one, it features the character Miles Morales as the Spider-Man that we all know. Miles Morales is a black and Hispanic kid who's taken on the role in the comic books. But Spider-Verse says there's all different types of spider folks and all these different, the dimensions. And that's what the Into the Spider-Verse is all about. And they all have to get together to stop this one enemy. Looks real good. Little man want to go see it, so I'm gonna have to go check it out. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse comes out this Friday, and actually, Mr. Ali is in that one too. He does a voice in that one.
Oh,
so nice.
Getting paid.
He's all place. So those three movies could be any more different, but it's December. You're gonna get all different types of taste, man. Go check those three out.
I got a fourth.
One of those gonna be in top 5.
I got a fourth one. It won't be a top 5.
What's that?
If you were in the Portland area, come out to the Clinton Street Theater on Friday night at 7 o'clock. You'll get a chance to see the short version of my documentary Uncaged, Journey into Black Comic Books. I'm excited about releasing the short version. I'll get a chance to put it on social media in the coming weeks. But if you, like I said, if you're in the Portland area, Clinton Street Theater, 7 o'clock, you get a chance to see my short as well as a few other young filmmakers who have really brilliant stories, who worked hard to put their stories together. So 7 o'clock, Clinton Street Theater.
Support that brother. If we was in Portland, you know we'd be going.
Yeah, I know. You would be required. It'd be
Yep.
Just like at Jay's wedding, right?
Yep. Yeah. I had other stuff to do that day, but
we had to go, right?
Yeah. He made us wear purple. Yeah.
Y'all look good. Y'all look good.
Lilac. All right. So that's it for me, man.
All right.
Those are the box office chumps and movies to go see.
In television news, man, we're entering binge watching season. So coming up in the next few weeks, there's a lot of good shows that'll be coming on. The Runaways will be coming back on Hulu, which is one of my favorite comic book shows. Also, The Last Dragon is on Netflix right now.
Oh,
yes. It's a requirement that you make your kids watch this movie. Now, it isn't age appropriate like I remembered, but it's still good. It's still PG-13ish.
Yeah, PG-13.
Yeah.
Tell them to shit your Converse, baby.
Yes. Like, my favorite scene is when they busted up the movie theater. And, you know, and dude with the drag queen was the one who stepped up first to get beat down. Like,
yeah. Good for him.
So that's my suggestion. Also, man, like in the television world, one of the shows we watch hit or miss, we tend to report on it when it's a good episode or a really bad episode, is Rail. Rail had a really, really excellent episode this week. It was funny from beginning to the end. They had and Rail is that throwback comedian who's doing characters. And so his character this week was Dulop or something like that. And it was basically Britney's ex-boyfriend who kind of made it big with a local hit called Sprinkle Dinkle. And the song really stuck in your head too. Like,
it was kind of high.
So, but that was like the subplot. The main plot was Rel, as a nurse, had the challenge of having to, still be professional with the nationalist who came in, like this racist guy who came in and just didn't, want to respect Rel as a qualified nurse. Ultimately, something went wrong. Rel shared the same blood type, and gives him his blood. And so the episode had a deeper meaning, but was still funny at the same time, because I think that's the challenge that I think any of us would have if we were dealing with someone who was racist and hated us, but we were trying to give love back. It would probably pan out the same way. Jay, you woke?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know. I know when I talk, you get soothed, and you ready to.
You got a very soothing voice, bro.
It's Jay Holly, yeah.
You can't help it, man. You've been in radio, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop talking. So Jay.
And you did late night. Remember? You should do late night.
Quiet Storm.
Quiet Storm.
It wasn't called that. What was it called?
Was it Quiet Storm?
No, it was called. And I forgot. It's been like 15 years.
I remember you being on late night.
It was called The Lounge. That's what it was called.
The Lounge, because you wanted to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get people like you always had like a subject or something like that.
No, my show was The Corner. Once I got off of The Lounge, but The Lounge was that overnight shot job that nobody wanted, where really you only had listeners for about 2 hours, and then
pretty much,
and then like from 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning, you just waiting on Doug Banks to come on. You just like you trying to stay woke.
I don't care how much sleep you get. At 3 o'clock, you going to sleep.
Yep.
A little bit. A part of you is going to sleep. Something's going to happen.
3 o'clock.
And faithfully, every DJ and almost every DJ had to work the overnight shift at some point. And we all faithfully had this one creepy caller who called all of us and would offer us a particular sexual act. And it was clearly a dude, but he would call up and try to have somewhat of a feminine voice and be like, "Hey, let me." And you'd be like, "Hey, no, man."
What?
And I thought it was just me. And I was scared. I was like, man, I don't want to leave because it's still dark when I leave. I'm like, man, I was like chilling, like, nah, Greta, I don't want to leave. I'm going to stay here with you until it's more light outside. But
oh my God.
Then Ben worked overnight for the first time. He was like, he kind of awkwardly came to me like, hey, man, does people call, like certain type of people call here? I was like, yep, you got the call too. And then people start feeling more comfortable talking about it.
So y'all was getting sexually harassed, man.
Yes, frequently. And we've got many more stories to come on that.
Oh, wow, man. That could be a segment.
Yeah.
What's that? We could call it the lifestyles of the rich and of the broken DJ. I don't know. Cause I ain't never heard no DJ that made a lot of money. I'm gonna say that out.
Nope.
True K-Jam stories. Starring
True K-Jam
Ben and Big Drew.
You can take the place of Charlie Murphy.
Yeah.
Because that is a scary story, sir.
That was not even the scariest one.
There's more?
Yeah, it's a lot more. But
we gotta do this every week now.
Back to the word on the street. One of the things that, as far as television, it's a lot of good shows. Like I said, a lot of good stuff that you'll be able to binge coming up real soon. But I want to go back one more step to something I watched this week that I wanted to mention before we get out of the word on the streets. Is I almost called it Infinity War. The Endgame trailer came out for Avengers 4. So it shows everybody devastated. We get a chance to see Ronan come in. Like he's coming in, he's all broken. You could tell he lost his family. So it's going to be somewhat exciting. The trailer comes in with Tony Stark lost in space, basically saying his goodbye to the helmet. The hope is that since Captain Marvel's been paged, that she's going to swoop him up on the way in and save his life. But Gamora's more than likely on the ship with him, so it's not like he's completely alone. So,
and it looks like Ant-Man's going to be the catalyst.
Yeah.
Of all people, Ant-Man.
Yeah. So it seems like it's going to be an interesting watch. And then it also said
I'm
April.
going to see it just to get the taste of the last Avengers movie out of my mouth.
I think that was probably the most brilliant one. I love the way it ended.
I hated it.
Now, a question for you fellas, like from what I'm seeing on social media about this movie, I feel like people are like kind of like spoiling the movie before it comes out. Is this like the first movie that you guys have like anticipated, where it's like people are telling the movie before it comes out and everything. Because that's the way I didn't watch any of the part one or part two. I just watched it because Black Panther was in it.
Yeah. Well, I think what
Go ahead.
I think what's going to happen is there has to be an introduction to the new Marvel universe as it is. And so with Marvel getting the rights back to everything, we've discussed this before. I keep coming kind of back to this point. We can predict how these other characters may come alive or some may remain dead. But I think at the end of the day, I think this movie, my hope is that this movie will be at the end will surprise us by introducing some of the new characters that have to enter the Marvel cinematic universe. So like now we've got to start getting some of the X-Men in now that Marvel completely has the rights back. So some of the Marvel characters that were on Fox, so like the X-Men have to come in. Maybe even some that have been snatched off of the Netflix universe may even be implemented. So we don't know how that's going to pan out, but I think that's going to be the twist. But other than that, yeah, it's kind of predictable according to the comic book how this.
Well, I mean, because you got a source, the comic book. So
yeah,
I think comic book movies are easy. It's so easy for them to be spoiled because of the source. Now, what a lot of movie makers do is they try not to stick too closely to the comic book. They try to veer you off. You know what I mean? But mostly, it's kind of hard to get away from the comic book. It's the source. Now, I saw the preview for Captain Marvel's movie, and it looks very interesting. You think that's going to do well?
I don't think it's going to do Black Panther numbers. I think two reasons why. Black Panther had a group of people that couldn't be, like, even the Comicsgate people wanted to still see Black Panther. But there's a movement, and this is something that you'll see in the full-length version of my documentary, Uncaged. But there's a Comicsgate movement that there are a lot of, I won't just say that it's white men, but there are a large group of people who've been comic book fans for years who don't want to see the evolution of diversity. And they feel like this Captain Marvel movie is forced. Where Black Panther in the comics was the man. Where Captain Marvel has kind of switched characters multiple times, and people are kind of like, is this character really ultimately worthy of a movie? So there's a lot of blowback.
This used to be called Miss Marvel?
No, Miss Marvel's her own individual character.
That's a different character.
Yeah. Okay. And Miss Marvel, there's blowback on the Miss Marvel character now being a Middle Eastern character in the comics.
I thought Captain Marvel was a guy for a long time.
Captain Marvel was a guy, and then Monica became Captain Marvel for a brief time. So Captain Marvel was a black woman for a brief period of time. And then now in the last 10, 15 years, is consistently been what we know.
Yeah, it seems odd that she got her own movie.
Yeah. And so some of the Comicsgate, it's called the Comicsgate group, they are not going to be happy about going to see the movie. But I think they're anticipating it's going to do big numbers. I think the surprise for us, on comic book movies in this cycle that we're facing right now is Aquaman that's going to be coming out. I think that's going to grab bigger numbers.
That's going to kill.
Yeah, I think
it looks great, man.
Yeah. Even though it's a totally different, universe, totally different group, I think that's going to kill and really be the movie of this time frame that's going to tip the axis and set us up to want to see Justice League.
I got you. You're right on that, bro.
All right, Jay.
You still up, Jay?
You got us back.
Oh, man.
You got us back. All right, it's time for us to talk a little bit of sports.
We've blurred it out for a second.
Yeah. We've talked entertainment for quite a while, so now it's time for us to get into sports. That's what we're here for. That's what we love to do. So we're going to get it kicked off real quick with our favorite thing to talk about is college football. Heisman Trophy. 2 years in a row, OU quarterbacks. How you feeling, Jay, as an OU fan?
Back to back. I felt like Tua was going to win it up until he got hurt in the championship game. And so at that point, Kyler Murray, he beat every team on his schedule. OU did defeat Texas in the Big 12 championship. And so Kyler won the Heisman Trophy. The number 4 ranked Oklahoma Sooners will now play the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide in the Orange Bowl on December 29th. Clemson will play Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl that afternoon. So those are the Final Four. I mean, a lot of people felt like Ohio State should have been in, but Ohio State lost to an unranked Purdue team who kicked their patooties around the field. So there you have it. You know, OU's playing Alabama, Clemson's playing Notre Dame. Boomer Sooner.
All right. So does this where does he go? Oakland A's or the NFL?
I mean, honestly, I feel like he should, stick to baseball. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the one that gave him the money. I mean, he's not that style of play is not going to work in the NFL. And you can look at Baker Mayfield right now. He had to readjust his game. He wasn't able to scramble around the pocket like he's been doing, like he did at OU for 3 years. Because even the 300-pound defensive linemen are fast in the NFL. So I think he should just stick to baseball.
All right, and speaking of the NFL, it's time for us to get into our football talk. All three of our teams won this week, so everybody's happy. We will save you for last because I know you've got a lot to say, J-Rock. So, Raw Dog, let's kick it off, man. The Bears had a pretty big victory, man. Like, are you feeling like the Bears are a second-round team now, or do you feel like they just a one and done, like it's an appearance in the playoffs and everything's good? Or are you feeling like you got this?
Man, the way the defense was playing, they may win a game in the playoffs, man. It ended up in the second round. The defense is I'm gonna use Jay's words when he described it. It's scary.
Yeah,
it's a scary defense. And that's what the Bears pretty much lay their whole game on. Their offense is okay, but without that defense, boy, they wouldn't have won a game. I mean, and as you can see, most of their games are very low-scoring games. You're not going to see a lot of points coming out of the Bears. But what you're going to see is an intense defense that intimidates good teams like the Rams. Rams are a good team, but it was just too much for them, man. It was way too much for them, and the Bears took them out 15-6. Again, low-scoring game. They have enough defense, I think, to make it to the second round in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
I really believe that. The Bears, and as a long-suffering Bears fan, I've been suffering since we started this podcast. Y'all know this. To see them playing like this, dude, almost brings a little bit of a tear in my eye, man, because it was about time. I think getting Khalil was huge. He changed an entire culture in that organization. Period.
I feel like that's you almost need executive of the year for that.
Yeah.
Or I would say the struggle face needs to go to John Gruden this week because between Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack. Yeah.
That's silly, man.
Yeah. So for me, I made a statement. We were leaving the house. I'm not gonna lie. Like, soon as church is over, I'm like, right, because I'm on the West Coast. So the game is on during church. So I'm like,
oh, wow.
All right, I got like you try not to watch, but you watching it just a little bit. So we get in the car, we rushing, we on our way home. It's seconds left, and I made this statement to my son. I was like, as a Chiefs fan, I need to see us win because this is going to be one of those statement games that tells me whether we are actually contenders or whether we're just another good Andy Reid team. But contenders find a way to win. And that's what we did. We found a way to win against the number one defense. And which, to me, I think our defense is just underrated. Our defense did really well. Really, really well. But I'm really just looking at it from the standpoint of I think the Chiefs are now in a position because it was something on the line. It was like, hey, you get a chance to know you're in the playoffs if you pull off this victory. We pulled it off. It wasn't impressive. But it was still a strong, hard-fought game, and I still feel like the sky's the limit. Like, we can get better. The one thing that is kind of scary is that running back position because we didn't bank on this happening. Like, we didn't think that this was going to happen, and I say we like I work for the team. But, like that was an unexpected thing, and so that is kind of scary because without that extra offensive threat, that does make us more one-dimensional. And when it comes to playoff time, Mahomes has not been playoff tested, and we need that backup plan. And that's the thing where it's like I hope Ware gets into good game ready, like just battle tested shape for the playoffs, and has his just has his hard hat on, and they're not scared to run some plays. that will keep other defenses on their toes for the playoffs. But other than that, man, I feel good because I'm looking at Pittsburgh struggling. They may not, they're usually like the big fear in the playoffs. I'm not even looking, I'm thinking at this point, New England is the big scare. They're the ones that I'm like.
Tomlin gonna lose his job, dude.
Yeah, Tomlin is that's the home of the Rooney Rule. So I don't know. They might give him a year or two to suck. They may give him the chance to exit.
Well,
Ben Roethlisberger.
They've been.
We'll see.
Know.
But this might be it for Tomlin, dude.
I will be upset if Marvin Lewis has a job and Mike Tomlin is fired.
Marvin Lewis is fired.
We've said that so many times.
No. They're going to fire him, and then they're going to make Hugh Jackson the head coach.
Marvin Lewis got tape on somebody.
If they want to suck that bad, who, and to go back, Khalil Mack reminds me of Ray Lewis, man. Like the way he's been just explosive. I just wanted to say that. I forgot to mention that. When I was watching the game, I was like, man, I ain't seen nobody really explode like that. Probably since Ray Lewis.
He's a lot like Ray Lewis. You're right.
All over the place.
Now, before Jay goes to the Cowboys, I want to holler at DeMarco, who's watching this now, and he said "Boo Eagles" because he is a Cowboy fan. Always has been, always will be. I'm not an Eagles fan, but for some reason I feel offended that he said "Boo Eagles" because I know he's a Cowboys fan. DeMarco, shut up. Now, Jay, go ahead with the Cowboy love. Go ahead.
I mean, Cowboys won 29-23. Those 2 first-round picks that Master Jerry gave John Gruden is coming to play because Amari Cooper, he's been explosive since he's been with the team. They played 6 games. He has 39 catches and 6 touchdowns, and the Cowboys have won 5 of those games. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now. On the podcast after they lost to Tennessee, I said the Cowboys would probably be 4-7 at this time, but I was wrong. The defense, something that they have not been able to do over the last 5 years, because if you're a Cowboy fan, you know that over those years, it was Tony Romo who was throwing the ball 40, 50 times to keep them in the ball game because the defense couldn't hold anything. But the defense, they did a good job for the most part of the game. It was the Eagles should have won because they missed the extra point. It should have been 24-23. But it went into overtime, and Amari Cooper caught a pass from Dak Prescott, and they won 29-23. I would say this. I would say the 2 scariest teams in the NFC right now are the Cowboys and the Bears. And this is why. Both of them have shaky offenses, but it's their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense. We've seen the 2 top teams in the NFC. They have come into enemy territory, and the Saints only scored 10 points, and then the Rams, who are most high scoring team in the league, they scored 6 points against the Bears. And it's like, to me, it's like they looked like California boys who were scared because they came into a cold environment and they just couldn't take a hit. It reminded me of when the Bears played the Rams back in the '85 NFC Championship game. Like, they were high profile, running when they're out in California, but then they came to Illinois and they couldn't do anything. So as we go down the stretch, the Cowboys and the Bears, they're going to be playing for that 3rd place position, because with them being in the 3rd place position, that means they don't have to play in L.A. Because I think the Rams will get the number 1 seed, obviously. So they won't have to play L.A.
Maybe
they have
not.
to go to the Superdome and play the Saints.
Saints could pass them. You never know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fight. Like these last, we got 3 games left. It's gonna be a struggle. Like the Cowboys, they can clinch the NFC East with a victory over the Colts on Sunday, and the Eagles, they just lost Carson Wentz.
It's doable.
Cowboys Wentz is
the Colts.
Yeah.
So that's definitely doable. And I am surprised at the turnaround that the Cowboys have done, because it pretty much looked like that was their season, and then it just suddenly their defense just turned on, dude.
Yeah.
It's definitely been their defense. Cowboys' defense is like, where did they come from?
All without Sean Lee's and his bum hamstring.
Yeah.
All right.
And
so
of course, Amari Cooper is a beast.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good catch. All right, so it's time for us to get in. It wasn't a lucky catch. It was a good catch. It was a
good catch. Good catch.
No one can question whether it was a catch. Maybe that's why he's the number one receiver
That's
now.
for doggone sure.
All right, so it's time for us to get into a hood debate or a hood topic we need to talk about this week. Don't got a lot of time to talk about somewhere between 5-10 minutes. Kevin Hart just recently had to step down as host of the Oscars because of some statements that he made back in 2011. So this is a growing trend that once you get to a certain level of fame, people are going to look back at the things that you used to say. So, like, for example, if I ever become famous, people are going to look back at this podcast and they're going to be like, really, Drew? And it's going to be like, I'll be like, Raw Dog said it. And they're going to be like, yeah, but you're going to have to step down.
Guilty by association.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Should this man be punished for the statements he made back then in a different time frame, regardless of the heart of the statements or whatever? Are we being too sensitive as a culture? Like, where do you guys stand on this type of type of thing?
Now I make people laugh for a living. It's one of my side gigs, man. And as a comedian, it's hard nowadays to write and not have to worry about who's this going to offend. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden you can't talk about certain groups of people. At what point was it okay to talk about black people, white people, and anybody else, but the LGBTQ community you can't talk about them. They're off limits. No, that's not what comedy is all about. Now, with Kevin Hart specifically, those tweets had already been brought up. And he said he apologized. He actually apologized to the LGBT community. He said, look, I've evolved since then. I've grown since then. I apologize if I ever hurt anybody. And then the Oscar thing comes up, and he's having to apologize again. This is ridiculous, man. You shouldn't have to over-apologize for something like that. I apologized once. I meant it. Basically, the Oscars told him, in order to keep this job, you have to go out and apologize one more time. So he said, okay, I'm going to apologize one more time, but forget this job, because that's not what I'm doing. I'm not going to do that. The political correctness is ridiculous, okay? It's ridiculous. Now, I know that the F word to the LGBTQ community is just as horrendous as the N word is to us, okay? Now, if we had a Heisman winner that said the N word back in the day, am I going to feel some type of way about it? Maybe. But I'm not going to say, well, he needs his Heisman trophy taken away from him. I'm not going to say that. I'm saying, well, I wouldn't hang out with that kind of guy, So why are we wanting to punish people for making those types of mistakes, and then when they're sorry for it, we continue to punish them?
Yeah.
Especially with the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Like they're off limits. You can't talk about them, period.
I feel like as a society, we just, with celebrities, we kind of like dissect everything that they do. Because I was thinking, like, when I woke up Sunday morning, I seen that they had said Kyler Murray had said something when he was 13, 14 years old. I'm not going to sit here and lie. When I was 13 and 14-year-old, I'm not going to lie. I've used the words that we are talking about, talking to my friends. Like, I've called them that. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't, but it's the fact that Kyler Murray said it on the internet and everybody screen grabs everything that's being said. Like, even to me, I feel like it's like people who are angry that somebody's doing something. Like the guy from Villanova who won the most outstanding player in the Final Four. They pulled up his tweets when he said the N-word when he was a younger kid. So it's like, as people get mad and they go back and look at somebody's history and they try to dissect them, we all are different people. I mean, if you're the same person you were in 1998, in 2018, something is wrong.
People are holding people accountable for what they said when they're 13 or 14. I imagine some of the dumb stuff I said when I was 14. Now, I wouldn't be held accountable for that.
I think that's off limits. I feel like if you said it when you were a child, that's something that your parents should have disciplined you on, and society doesn't have a place to do that. Especially if you've grown on to contribute to society in a positive way, and it's proof of it. there's proof of redemption. I think we need to mind our business. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't gone on and continued to say the word. His behavior has shown that he's a good guy. And I feel like at that point, we need to back out and just let life take its course and stop trying to be judge, jury, and executioner. I think more specifically with the Kevin Hart incident, I think it's kind of disturbing because I think it also speaks to something, and this is where conspiracy Drew kind of shows up. Where I agree with, like, Lavelle Crawford said this a few years ago, and I know other people have said it, but he made a statement that it's like, it feels like it can only be one big black comedian at a time. And there's always some sort of incident that has to happen that tears that one big comedian down off of the stage, and it makes room for someone else. And right. Kevin Hart was getting to the point where, like, oh, we want you to host the Oscars. It doesn't get any bigger than that. That's that Eddie Murphy status. You know what I'm saying? So, Eddie had, and I'm not saying that, like, there's people chasing him around to do things. Eddie picked up transvestite on his own. That was just what he wanted to do and got caught. But, like, those type of incidents happen. People fall out of the public eye, and then you get your Dave Chappelle, and then he is considered to be, mentally unstable. And then you insert the next guy. But I feel like there's
Cat
never...
Williams.
Yeah. And then Cat has this thing. Now, I feel like my fear is that this is the downfall of Kevin Hart. And we'll never really see the opportunity for a black comedian to ever really make it to a stage and be just unapologetically who he is. I hope that he bounces back from this and recognizes that he still has a core audience that cares about him, that actually likes him, and he doesn't have to continue to pander.
That's the thing. They want him to stay there.
Yeah.
You stay as long as you are fighting the black people, we want to look up your tweets.
Yeah.
Okay. But once you start going into areas that are primarily for white men only, we're gonna look you up, and we're gonna find something.
Raw Dog, how do you feel about Nick Cannon going back and pulling up Amy Schumer's, Sarah Silverman, and Chelsea Handler's tweets when they used that slur?
Nick makes a good point. He's like, well, look at what you guys said. But here is what Sarah Silverman, she defended herself and Amy Schumer, basically saying, well, we are allies of the LGBTQ community. They know that we've done big things for that community. So it's more like, well, because, we're allies of them, we can get away with that stuff. It's the whole thing about, well, we're black, so we can say the N-word, but you can't. Hey, we're allies of the gay community, but you haven't shown anything where you have, done anything for the gay community, so you can't say that, because they've used the F word. They've used they've had all kind of gay humor in their tweets, but for them, they can get away with it because they're allies.
Yeah, and I don't buy that.
I don't buy it either. But Nick makes a good point. How come they get to say that, but we don't? But they're using the N-word angle that we use. That, hey, we can say it, but you can't. So that's the card they're playing. Yeah. Can you argue with that?
I don't. And I think that's the problem. It's like either we, it's an individual choice for you to, to take those terms out of your vocabulary. And if you choose to use them, there's a consequence behind it. But I also think that we have to make a choice as an audience and not be stripped of our individualism to whether we're going to like a person or not. And I think there's a lot of people who still love Kevin Hart, still think that he's funny, both black and white, that are now feeling as though they have to dislike him for because of some, social pressure. And I hope that people don't cave to that. And I'm coming from the angle of not really being a Kevin Hart fan. Like, I'm proud of what he's doing because I just want to see him succeed. But I don't laugh at his movies. Never really have. Even when he was just doing like the cold black movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never been like a big fan, but I want to see this man succeed. So I don't, wish him, anything ill. But it's like, this is hate. This is hate trying to drive out hate. It's just disguised as tolerance. But at the end of the day, anytime you try to, remove a man away from him making a living, I don't care if he's making 10 times what we make. That's still how he feeds his family. That's still how he's building a future for his community and for the people around him, and hating on something he said 10 years ago, or 5, 6 years ago. That's just hatred, just trying to drive out a hate statement he made, he made a long time ago. And then on top of it, the fact that he apologized. Nobody owes you anything in society, period. Nobody, regardless if you were affected or offended by it, that man apologizes once. The burden's on you to forgive now at this point. It's not on him to keep seeking out your forgiveness. He doesn't have to come out of pocket. He don't have to do anything but just be genuinely sorry in his heart. Now you have to learn how to forgive.
Exactly. I'm trying to get my man Curtis put a comment on the line. I can't seem to get to it, but he was.
I got it.
You
got it. I got it. Yeah, in my opinion, people will never be able to excel later in life if we can't forgive their mistakes from the past. We all said or done something in our past that we're not proud of. If we apologize and grow from it, let it go.
There we go.
Go.
I think that's the best place to leave it. We got a little bit of time to get into Thunder talk and NBA talk right now. The Thunder and the Pelicans are going back and forth as they kind of wind down the second quarter. We ain't going to get into specifics of the score, but the Thunder have been really teetering this line in the West that is scary. So before we get deep into the Thunder talk, I want to point out that LeBron James is doing something that we didn't think he would be able to do with the Lakers, and he's keeping them in contention early. Now, I don't know how long, because of course we're in the first quarter of the season, but if this man actually leads them deep into the playoffs in the West, and no one thought that they would do that, we're gonna have to start revisiting the conversation on
greatest
on something. That's not a conversation that people are comfortable having yet. He still he has to win some rings before people will say.
Six of them, sir.
He would have to win 2 rings with the Lakers.
6 of them.
6 of them. And you know where the 6 comes from, Drew. Don't smile coyly like that. You know what we're talking about.
The theory of man. The 6, the sign of man. What? Huh? Like 666. Like I don't.
No, man, 6 rings, baby.
Mark of the beast.
Hey.
Naughty jungle of love.
But so as we kind of shift into that, I think you got Portland on a downward spiral, just being who they are. You've got so many teams in the West. Utah is struggling, but they've got a few pieces that prove that they're going to be better later by picking up Kyle Korver. Cleveland pretty much is emptying out all the veterans. They traded George Hill away to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's going to get better because of that. So there's a lot of teams. There's still some players available, though. J.R. Smith is still out there.
Nobody want his drunk.
They don't want Henny Man. Henny Man. Da-da-da.
Nick Young signed with the Nuggets.
Nuggets, yeah.
Nuggets have some injury issues with Paul Millsap and I think Gary Harris. It was one of them.
Yeah, Gary Harris.
Both kind of went down with injuries. So there's a lot going on, man, around the NBA, and it's really too soon to start talking playoffs. But this is a year in the NBA that I really honestly feel that this whole season is going to feel tight like this. I don't think we're going to hit a stretch.
Hey, can I make an observation about the Thunder?
Go ahead.
It seems to me that the Thunder play better when Russell plays an understated game.
When he plays off the ball. When he plays the 2 guard.
Yes.
They play much better. He had a triple-double, but it was like 10, 12, and 11. Okay? When Russell overtakes the offense, they lose. When he plays off the ball and somebody else takes kind of the chore of scoring, like your
Paul George,
or your Schroeder coming off the bench, they win. So in order for this team to get to the playoffs, Russell has to play an understated game. He can't play balls out like he did when he was averaging the triple doubles. He really has to play a calm, relaxed type of game. If he goes crazy, he doesn't know how to turn it. He doesn't know how to shut it off. Because once he goes crazy, he's not giving the ball up to anybody. He's going to keep shooting and shooting. Even when he misses, he's going to keep shooting. But when he picks and chooses his moments, that's when the Thunder are dangerous. That's when they're successful. And he allows his teammates to get more confident in their shots, confident in what they're doing. I'm telling you, when he plays an understated game, the Thunder are very dangerous. When he takes over, they lose because they become predictable.
So I think that's 60% of the reason why we're winning too, because a big part of it is the defense is becoming such a game changer that it's actually creating, because the defense is creating offense for the people who are getting the defensive stops. So what's ultimately happening is when Paul George is getting a steal, whoever's taking off is getting that easier layup. So we're getting a lot of, the floor is being stretched off of defensive plays because people are able to get back down court, get in position on spot up threes. There's a handful of different things that are working for our offense through the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's Russ's thing, that he admits that right now he's not even at 80% of his playing, like where he should be. So I kind of feel like, come in.
Y'all done?
I'm almost. You got your client coming?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, Jay.
Oh, a lot of people, I kind of laugh because me and my boys, we talk about this. I'm like, we're very critical of the Thunder this season, and they're in first place right now. I know right now, like it doesn't seem like much because this season, like when you look all the way down the line, like, and you see Houston is the next to last worst team in the West when they were just in the Western Conference Finals last year. And then you see Utah, who was also right there. It's almost like it's like, okay, why are you complaining about, their play when they're the number one team? They've won 10 of 12 games at home. The only loss they have is to the Bulls, who ended up getting beat by 56 points the next night. So it's like, why be critical of them? But like I said, it's been a crazy season so far. I'm liking Paul George because the other night against Brooklyn, that's the Paul George that I've been waiting to see, where Russ just moves out the way and let him play. And I feel like, with Melo being out the way, we would have probably seen that last year. But I feel like Melo was him being there kind of like just messed up the chemistry of the team. But like now, even though Russ, he makes his, goofball decisions and everything, but down the stretch, he's starting to get the ball to Paul George and let Paul George work out.
He's playing an understated game right now.
Yeah.
It's like he realizes that I got to take it down a few notches in order for my team to win.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I don't care if he scores 40 points as long as we get the victory, and we're playing late into June.
That's right. That's right. And I think he might be figuring that out right now.
Yeah. Steven Adams is playing a really good game right now.
Oh, my God. So, Steven Adams is incredible.
I've been saying this the last few years, and I honestly just believe it. He's an all-star.
Start calling that dude Aquaman.
Yeah. I second that.
Just like Aquaman.
He looks just like Aquaman.
But when it boils down to it, if you're taking away East and West, and you're really just looking at who are the best centers in the league, Steven Adams is, and I know we don't vote on positions anymore, but Steven Adams is one of the top maybe 3-4 centers in the league. I would honestly say, I might be being a homer here, but I really think Steven Adams is probably top 3 of the centers in the league.
And he's the smartest center.
Yeah.
Because he makes plays, man.
Yeah.
He's the best in the West.
He's one of the best passing centers I've seen. And he doesn't ask for the ball, actually. He doesn't ask for the ball very much.
Yeah, he earns it. Yeah.
He goes and gets the rebound.
I would say, outside, I can think Embiid has more talent than him and has a better upside. I don't like his mouth or anything, but brighter upside. I think Anthony Davis, maybe you could put Anthony Davis ahead of him, ahead of Adams, because just leadership. And a healthy Boogie Cousins is right there with Adams. But you'd be hard-pressed. That's because Drummond's not that good.
But he irritates all 3 of them guys.
Yeah,
they don't like playing against Steven Adams.
I don't think any center wants to play against him. Oh. All right, guys, it's time for us to get up out of here. It's time for the world famous final cut. Wiping the sweat from your neck. I don't know.
What?
I didn't know if that's what you were doing. You was hot under there.
Oh, it's that Final Cut.
Oh, okay.
That ain't that fat that it's sweating, dog. Come on now.
It was glistening. I just thought you was just like, and he smelled it.
They got some hot dog neck, dog.
Hot dog neck.
All right, J Rock, what you got? It's all you.
All right. I've been very critical of Stephen A. Smith over the last couple of weeks. For some reason, he has become obsessed with the Dallas Cowboys like Skip Bayless has become obsessed with LeBron James over the years. My thing is the Dallas Cowboys are not the best team in the NFL. In fact, even though ESPN talks and everything, you got the New Orleans Saints, the Los Angeles Rams, the New England Patriots. But for some reason, he is obsessed with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think he's seen, what Skip Bayless has done over the years as his sidekick, that he can get away with talking about LeBron. So now he talks about the Dallas Cowboys. And so to me, I feel like Stephen A. Smith should go back to the Stephen A. Smith from when he first got to ESPN, when he was doing acclaimed interviews with Allen Iverson and he wasn't so over the top. Like right now, he has turned into a character. And I can't watch him anymore because he gets into arguments, hence what happened with LeVar Ball last year. And he's turned into a wrestling character right now. To me, he's like Angry Man Smith, and it takes away from all that journalistic skills that he obtained over the years working in Philadelphia and everything. And so I just want Stephen A. Smith to just step up and go back to the Stephen A. Smith from 2003 and just be a journalist and not some loudmouth yelling on TV. And like I say every week, winners win and losers lose, and they all find a way to do what they do. It's your boy J Rock representing the Barbershop 918, and I'm out.
For those that have watched our little show here and listened to the podcast, you can tell how focused I am. I'm a pretty focused dude. Yeah, go ahead and give me the looks. I don't care. But the reason why I can stay focused is because, just in general, is because I have a wife who's able to, while I'm staying focused on here, she's looking all around me. God says when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. And that's the truth, man. When you find a person who's got your back, not just in theory, but actually has your back, actually has your best intentions, and can see things that maybe you can't see, that's when you got a good thing. Marriage nowadays, man, is so easy to get in and out of. People don't take it very seriously. But for those that are out there making it work, men out there staying faithful, doing the right thing, hey, man, ain't nothing like having a wife, not a girlfriend, not a ride-or-die chick, but your wife having your back. It is truly a good thing. And I want to give a shout out to all the wives out there doing it big. And with that being said, don't tell God about your big problems. Tell your problems you got a big God. I'm out. I'm your boy Raw Dog, Barbershop 918. Let's go.
All right. So for me, I just want to remind you guys to continue to pursue your dreams. Do everything that you can to work hard at your dreams. You can make it. It does not matter how tired you get. It doesn't matter if it doesn't look like it's going to work out. It will work out. You just got to continue to push, continue to grow through the process. Don't give up on your dreams at all. It doesn't matter how big or how little it is. Do not surrender that dream over. Continue to pray about it. Continue to push. Continue to do everything that you can do to make something happen, even if it's little bitty moves at a time. Be grateful and celebrate those little bitty moves. Don't complain. Sometimes complaints get right there, but just don't let them leave the tip of your tongue. Just keep pushing, keep moving, because complaints tend to just slow you down. So don't create those roadblocks. Just keep moving. But even if you are complaining, it's all right. Just keep moving, keep pushing towards your goals. I promise everything is going to be all right. And I say that currently pursuing my goals, currently pursuing my dreams, and not knowing every day that it's going to make how it's going to turn out. But I have faith that it's going to be all right. All right. We love you guys, and we thank you for listening to the Barbershop 918. Remember, hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that. And make sure you check us out at
thebarbershop918.com. You can check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I iTunes.
Spotify.
If you can't find us, you ain't looking. And if you ain't looking, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? This is the best sports podcast around this town. You better ask somebody. We are the Bob Shop 918. 121 strong, baby.
Jill.
And we ain't even got to be in the same city.
Nah, that's true.
That's dedication. And ain't nobody getting paid for this.
You want to sing?
Nobody.
You got that glow on the way out the door, man?
Man. I'm just
When
saying.
you know the glow, you got the glow.
We doing this for love, man.